Welcome everyone on this latest episode of our podcast, Driving Eco-Sustainability, My Perspective. And once again, I'm your host, Grace, where we have conversations about everything climate change, environmental sustainability, and environmental conservation. And today I'm joined by a lady called Cynthia from Climate Skaters. We are going to be talking about integrating gender perspectives into the climate change discussions. I'm excited. I hope you're equally excited as well. She'll be telling us more about herself. Cynthia, welcome. Can you introduce yourself to our guests and tell them what you do?
Thank you so much, Grace. My name is Cynthia Kemigisha. I'm the founder Climate Skaters Chitezi, an organization that is using sports for climate action. And I'm also the head of communications at the Uganda Council on Foreign Relations, which is a non-government, non-partisan center of excellency for the promotion of international relations. Thank you so much, Grace.
All right, thank you so much. Today, as I've shared, we are going to be talking about how to integrate gender perspectives into the climate change discussion. And we shall start right away. Cynthia, do you think women play a critical role into driving the discussion within the space of climate change and environmental sustainability? And if so, how do they do it, considering that you're a lady within this space with the Climate Skaters Uganda?
Oh, yes, thank you. Definitely, ladies play a very important or crucial role because ladies are the most vulnerable people in climate change. Literally, when we talk about the impacts of climate change, women are getting it even worse than the men. It is said that women are most likely to die of climate challenges 14 times more than the male. So I would think that this is a topic that is so crucial to them because since they are the most marginalized, they are the most vulnerable, this is a topic that is so important to them. And every day they are in the face of climate change. I mean, women are the ones in charge of households. They are the ones in charge of things to do with agriculture. They're the ones who collect firewood. They are the ones who face things to do with the water scarcity and many other climate challenges. So this is a topic that is so important to the women. And personally, being a woman in climate change, I understand how important this is for us as women to wake up and join the fight against climate change because it affects us even more than the men.
Yes. So now you see in the recently concluded census, at least from the released preliminary results, it was discovered that actually majority of the households in Uganda are led by women. So how do you think our policies within this space of climate change can they integrate the gender aspect into the discussion so that we can be able to cater for challenges that are specifically faced by women as the marginalized communities, and also considering that most of our households are now women-led. And it's also not a secret that the population worldwide, not Uganda only, that the ratio of women to men is greater. So how do you think our policies can effectively integrate these gender inequalities and the gender-specific issues faced by women in the climate change space?
Okay. Yeah, I think that already our policies in place actually have put like efforts have been done to include women, but the problem is that, or the challenge I can say is most of these policies are already there in place, but implementation is the problem. So we are having issues of implementation, of evaluation. And now, where does that leave us? Because at the end of the day, the crisis is there. We cannot say, or we cannot look behind and pretend that there's no crisis. There's a big crisis. Actually, this is the biggest, climate change is the biggest crisis of our era. So I feel we need more of implementation than just drafting policies, and we need more of the implementation. We need also women to be in leadership positions, because no one is better than you, the person that is actually feeling the challenges of climate change, to be able to implement. I would think if we had more women in our leadership, it would be so easy to implement these policies. Apparently, when women are in leadership positions, there's actually so much they do in climate change. According to statistics, we've seen people like Kamala Harris, the effort she has put in climate change, the president of Tanzania. We can look at people like the Ethiopian president as well. There is so much they have actually been able to do within the climate spaces, within policy frameworks and all that. It's because when you put a woman that has already, even though I have not experienced it, but we all know the gender biases. We all know that women are not in place to actually be able to formulate these policies. So we also know that women are not given equal places or positions as their counterparts, and yet they are the most vulnerable. So I would think the policies are already in place, but the implementation right now is what we have to work on. And that also includes leadership, it includes also awareness, education. If we had more women educated, so I feel they would be able to also help within the implementation of these policies.
Yes. So now, in Uganda's perspective, are there any policies that come to mind that you think we have put in place or that we can improve to ensure that, yes, the discussion around climate change is more gender specific to cater for women? Are there any policies that you think that come of mind that we can do better, we can improve, or we can think around with the implementation to ensure that they are more gender sensitive and specific in the climate change space?
I will not be like particular about any policy that is in place, because the truth is the policies are actually there. They have been catered for, but it is all about the implementation, the evaluation and monitoring. It is not about the policies to be put in place.
Yes.
They have already been put in place, but all that is needed is implementation. Honestly, all that is needed is implementation, because even if we have them and we are not implementing, then there's nothing we are doing.
Okay, now, as we were delving into that discussion regarding policy, I can't help but wonder, what are those specific negative impacts of climate change that really are very pressing and expose women to be at the extremely very vulnerable and extremely affected by the negative impacts of climate change?
There are so many, but I'll just give a few that are actually dominant.
Yes.
Impacts of climate change, we can look at usually when we have climate catastrophes.
Yes.
Also, you know how the world has changed, and the stress issues, that the mental disturbances that come with these catastrophes of climate change, these heat waves. People are not exactly thinking so straight. So what is going to happen? In the case of these extreme weather events, men are very violent, and women are actually facing more domestic violence than even ever before. They face all these in the face of climate change. Then also the impacts of water scarcity.
Yes.
Most of the women are the ones that actually fetch water for their families. So what happens is in the case of climate change, when there are longer droughts, there is less water, they have to really walk longer distances to get this water. So what does this do to the women? It only means that the women are not able to do the other things they would have done, other developmental things. For example, education. You'll find that a girl is walking so many kilometers to fetch water, and there's literally less time for them to focus on their school, or even not even go to school at all, because they are busy working But the reason that they are that busy, it's because there's water scarcity. There's a problem. They have to do otherwise. They can't do as much as they would have done if like they had water in the nearby places, or, then also we can look at impacts of agriculture. Women are the majority of course, I can speak for Uganda. Women are into agriculture and farming. So they are definitely getting impacts of climate change because they do not have, the crops they are not yielding enough like they would have done if there's no climate, or if they are not facing like these extreme events of climate, they would definitely be yielding more. So this leads to food insecurity and also their livelihoods. I mean, if I'm basically depending on agriculture, it's my income comes from agriculture. So if I'm not getting that because of climate change, it only means that then I'm getting worse. I'm getting poorer. So women, the impacts are more on the economic, on their physical and mental health, and health in particular.
Yes.
For example, pregnant women. I've been in places where I have met with people who have disabilities, and they assured me that they got, especially hearing problems, that they were not born, that when their mothers were pregnant, there was a climate catastrophe or there was a lot of pollution. And so they actually were born with issues to do with their health. So women are affected more because women are the ones that get pregnant, take care of the little ones. So in the face of climate change, women get more impact than men, I can say. Then also women, we can talk of menstruation and all that. They cannot actually be able to have dignified menstruation because in the face of climate change, they are not able to have maybe like sanitary pads. They are not, and yet honestly, it should be like surely a human right for any woman to actually menstruate with the right sanitaries and all that, but also loss of lives.
Yes.
Like I already told you in the beginning that women are likely to die 14 times their counterparts due to climate change issues.
Yes.
Of course, there's nothing that can be really worse than loss of lives. We've seen mudslides, but women are more likely to actually die of such effects.
All right. Yes. So from what I pick, we are dealing with a situation where we have the environmental factors, but also the biological factors that also contribute to accelerating or worsening the vulnerability of women towards being exposed to the negative effects of climate change. For example, because they are into agriculture. So if we have uncertain patterns of rainfall, the crop yield is not going to be much, and they're going to be feeding their families. Then also they are going to walk long distances during hot seasons to access clean drinking water for their families. Then in the rainy seasons, it's even much worse. There are mudslides, and they have to ensure that they evacuate their families early on. But also not to forget that because of that stress during this time, they also become victims of domestic violence in their homes. So now in between all this, we noticed that if we could create a situation where women could easily adapt to this, or they could become the forefront voices towards dealing with these effects of climate change, then perhaps we would be in a position to deal more with it, other than spending our times highlighting the challenges. But we could be in a position where we create a corrective measure and corrective strategies to make it better for them. So what strategies do you think that we can come up with within our communities to ensure that women can respond to some of these challenges you've highlighted, that are accelerated by climate change?
Okay. For me, I would actually think, first of all, you have to also understand that women account for half of the population in the world.
Yes.
And then this is an emergency. It's no longer just any crisis. It is an emergency. And when someone tells you that, okay, this is an emergency, sometimes I think we don't really understand the depth of this emergency or this
Yes.
crisis. So if we can understand that everybody's efforts are really important in this emergency. I mean, we are dealing with an emergency. It's like when someone tells you that this person is in ICU, you know how fast you would actually react to help this person in case you can.
Yes.
So that is how we should be treating this. Now, we literally need everyone's hand in this. And we've already seen that women account for half of the population in the world.
Yes.
So we need their efforts as much. We really need to be as inclusive as possible. We need everybody's efforts. So for me, this is what I think can be done to help women be a part of the solutions. So we can look at education.
Yes.
I personally value education. I know you cannot actually, if you don't know anything, actually you're not going to act. If you don't understand that there's a crisis, you'll be there drinking wine in the middle of a crisis. I mean, they are telling you your house is burning and you're busy drinking wine. You don't care.
Yes.
Because you don't even know it's actually burning. But the moment you actually understand that my house is burning, you will definitely go down and do something and pour water, pour sand, wherever you can. So now we need to understand that there's a crisis, and that is going to be by education. Education can be formal, it can be informal. Since we have also looked at the fact that women are key players
Yes.
in this climate change, in the fight against climate change. So since they are key players as well, we need to educate them, build their capacity, make them understand that this is actually what we can do. Because very many people are actually doing things. I see people doing briquettes. I've never even seen a man doing briquettes myself. I don't know. Maybe they do them but I see women doing small things. But these women can do better if they're even educated that actually why you're doing this is not even for money, because some of them are just doing it for money. But if you can make them even understand that while you are doing this, you are saving our planet, you're saving our environment, it can really help them. And also, the more we educate women, we've talked about women not being able to be in leadership positions. They are not part of the policy formulations. They are not, because they are not in leadership positions. But I believe if women are equipped with education, they can actually be a part of the leaders. They'll be able to stand up for themselves. And also, education does not have to be formal. It can be both formal and informal, because also the women we are talking about, we have a big number, especially in the rural areas.
Yes.
They may not be able to attain formal education, but even the informal education is key. So I feel education is key, is number one for me.
Yes.
Then once we can do education, but also we can have encourage women to be in leadership positions. For example, only 15 women at COP28 out of the 133 leaders, only 15 women were present.
Wow.
So what does that mean? It does not mean it's not about COP. It's not. It's about our communities. That means
from up and down.
Exactly. It starts. Yes, it means that for us at a local level, at a national level, we have actually not done much to have the woman there. Because I believe if we had women at the national level, if we had a bigger number of women at the national level, then even at the international level, we'll have them.
Yes.
So for me, when I saw 15 women out of 133 world leaders, it meant so much. It meant that we have to do so much to make sure that women are in the leadership positions. And as a woman, if I know, for example, the good thing I'm a woman who is speaking and I'm speaking for women, I personally, when I'm doing something in climate change, I understand what women go through. I understand the vulnerability. So I will actually do so much. It is easy when you're relating to what, it's like, as a woman, it's so much relatable. If they say women go through this, you've probably gone through it. So you're not just talking something that is not understandable by the other party, but you're saying something that you really know, you have gone through, you've experienced. So yes, I would think also innovations. I don't know why, for some reasons, women have been left out in innovations. Yet, honestly, they are good innovators. I recently saw a group of girls, I think they are called Smart Girls Uganda, and they are engineers and have been doing amazing things. I saw them, they created a solar backpack. They've done so many innovations, and they're just girls. So girls have been left out in such important ventures like innovations, technology. We need more women there, because look at this. Women, you said that we have more women-led households.
Yes.
So if we have more women-led households, that means we are raising families. Women are doing so much down there, because before we have a great nation, we have to have great families. And then now, if they are the household leads, that means they actually need to do so much, or can actually do so much. So if women can be interested in leading these families, that also means these same women can actually be in technology. Women can do so much, but apparently, if you see the percentage of the women who are in tech, it's the percentage is so small. So I think we can also encourage women to be innovative and also push them, because sometimes when you do encourage and it's failing, somehow we can find a way to actually push for the women to be there. Then also, if we have innovations, if we have education, and we have then also for the policies, our leaders, I think they should not only look at I think they should really mainstream these gender perspectives on climate change. They should mainstream them, because not only mainstream them, because also the implementation matters. They should do that, and also go down and see how are they being affected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So from what you've mentioned, yes, we are dealing with education is one of the key ways through which we can amplify the way in which we deal with the negative effects of climate change towards women. And at least from what you've mentioned, women, we play a key role in amplifying this discussion, because, of course, women-led households are the majority in Uganda. And you've also mentioned something about the fact that if at the international level, we struggle to have equitable distribution of women in the climate change negotiations, then definitely it comes from our national level, then it springs to the international level. In fact, I think we saw a situation where Azerbaijan, that's going to host this year's COP, had to reintegrate and reestablish its leading committee because there were international cries about why the entire committee had only men. So I think, yes, we can relate to that women, if it is being seen at the international level, then it means our national level is struggling. On innovation, I mentioned that, yes, innovation is one of those areas we struggle, especially the global south, and integrating innovation towards responding to climate change. And now, one of the key areas within this space, and which is one of the biggest challenges in the global south, has been access to clean energy, especially rural communities. And one of the responses has been integrating a few clean energy innovations in this space to respond to the limited access to clean energy, which is a cancer in the global south and sub-Saharan Africa. So clean cooking, how do you think, what is that key role that women play towards accelerating and amplifying access to clean cooking as a response to climate change, and also achieving a Sustainable Development Goal 7 towards access to clean and affordable energy.
So here with the clean energy, one of the things that we can all agree to is literally in most of the households, it's women doing the cooking.
Yes.
Not some. But we are going to look at Uganda in particular. We are using charcoal.
Yes.
I always imagine the day charcoal will be banned in Uganda, people will sleep hungry for quite some days. I think with women are actually trying. Like I already told you that I've seen women trying to do briquettes here and there, but also the financing. It's very hard. The other alternatives of the cleaner energy alternatives, the cleaner energy that we want, we do not have the funds to acquire it, to achieve it. It's very expensive and unaffordable. People are talking about different things like solar, but it's not achievable. We have to also be so realistic.
Yes.
So I feel it goes back to the funding. There are no funds to actually move from the energy we are using right now to the biomass energy to the cleaner energy. It's basically lack of funding, because I don't imagine what Ugandans are actually going to cook with if I don't know. I don't think everyone is going to afford gas, or it's very, very affordable. And when we look at our population, most of the people in Uganda are poor. We have a very big percentage of poor people. And yet we want to also transit to a cleaner energy. But as we transit, it still has to be a just transition. It's not just going to be just any transition. It has to be just as well. So here, the issue of financing is the problem. I don't think the women in the rural areas or even in the urban areas, the women, like we have said, women can actually play a very big role in this, but they don't have the capacity. And that capacity is honestly, that muscle is a financial muscle.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, as you've mentioned, we need the financial muscle. And indeed, achieving a Sustainable Development Goal 7 and also Sustainable Development Goal 13, indeed, the cornerstone of achieving all our Sustainable Development Goals has been hinged on partnerships and collaboration. And this is where financing comes in. So we have often been told that we can't discuss gender perspectives without also discussing the fact that there's a boy child. We have to also understand that while we empower our women, we also have to integrate and also ensure that the men are ready to work within this space. So are there those things that you think about we can integrate that men can also take on to supplement towards reducing the vulnerability of women towards climate change? It could be awareness, because with education, it comes with awareness within the community. So how do you think men can also supplement and also contribute more towards accelerating this conversation, enhancing awareness, but also ensuring that they are at par so that we have an equitable distribution of responsibilities and also roles towards this?
Thank you so much. I also wanted to mention that because as we keep saying that women this, women that, they cannot achieve this alone.
Yes.
I already talked about inclusivity. We literally need everybody, like everyone's energy. I mean, this is not a one-man's fight. And if we have collaborative energy, that's the only way we are going to deal with this. I think that's why we are even advocating for women to be a part of this. Because when you look at most of like the NGOs, all these people who are doing so much in the climate spaces, you will actually see that in the leadership positions, it's predominantly male. Yet, also the women are needed. But then it doesn't mean as we advocate for women, we leave out men. We need the men and we need their support as much as possible. And this is how I think the men can come in to support the women. Education. Men should be able to okay, it's that goes for only because in Africa, in Uganda in particular, men are the head of the families. That's the truth. But if men prioritize female education, if I'm your father and I say no, this girl cannot go to school, that's the end of your education. He will not pay for your school fees. He will not. So if men can actually prioritize girl child education, it can also help us in this climate change fight, because we already looked at the fact that because of the low education levels, women are also not able to have that confidence to be in leadership positions. Yet in reality, women are very strong and are capable of doing and achieving so much, according to the few women we have seen in the climate spaces and the few they are, and a lot they have done. So I feel also the education bit can also be emphasized. Then also men can also help in financing. Yes, women and men are more economically empowered than women. So if the men are more, because even in our local communities, you'll see a man say that I'm trying to do a business for my wife. I'm trying to. So that means men have a bigger, men are, when it comes to the economic part, men are doing much. Yes, we are in Africa and we are poor in Africa, but still some are more poor than others. And
Yes.
that is the women. So if these men that are actually doing better than the women can also help the women, especially do for them like eco-friendly businesses, help them to understand, like finance their efforts. It could also like be very helpful. Then also, I would also think we already talked of awareness. We talked about finances. Yeah, I feel men can come in that way.
Yes. So, as a woman in this space and someone who is running a climate skating initiative,
Yeah.
what are some of those positive highlights that you have experienced as a woman towards advancing this cause of integrating women within the discussion of climate change? What are some of those positive highlights? And also, while we are at the positive highlights, also share with us those challenges that you have met and those that you have experienced that you can think better can be done.
Okay. Yeah, for me as a woman, first of all, it pleases me to actually do this, because also one of the other things we have to do, I forgot to say, is to break the stereotypes of like women can't do this. Who told you women can't do this? Women can actually do anything. I can say I'm proudly the first woman in East Africa to head or do a skateboarding initiative. This is a predominantly male community.
Yes.
If you go to skateboarding, we are struggling to actually have girls to skate because culture, many things, many aspects. And it's the same for climate, by the way, because our cultures hold us so much down that we think so many things men can do, the women cannot do. But that's not true. Women can do as much, even better. They can do as much, honestly. So for me, I'm privileged to be able to understand that women can do as much. And what I do, I'm using sports as a vehicle to drive change. Sports is beautiful. Everybody loves sports. I mean, like right now, everyone is talking about the Olympics.
Yes.
Last night, Chiptegei did us justice. Like everyone is literally like jumping.
Yes.
Uganda is, all in the air.
Yes.
So now that is what sports does. So for me, I decided that, yes, I'm doing sports, but I cannot just do sports when my planet is at stake.
Yes.
I mean, my planet is dying, but I'm doing sports. So I told myself, no, you can actually use sports to do something good for your community, to do something good for the world. So I use sports as a means of climate action. So we do not just skate, we do, after skating, all the children at my skate park understand what climate change is. And we have to do action. We have to take action. We do community outreaches. We have climate education classes. I mean, even a 6-year-old at my skate park already knows that you cannot just throw Kavera like that. They know the repercussions. They know how our planet is importing, because from day one, we are told that you're not going to skate on a dead planet as long as you come to our skate park. So also at Uganda Council on Foreign Relations, we all know that you cannot talk about international relations without talking about climate change. I mean, it's the biggest crisis of our era.
Yes.
So we also, I'm also very active in different climate activities. We are now working on an initiative that is actually going to be looking at the intersection between diplomacy and climate change. Yeah. So I decided that whatever I do, I have to incorporate climate change. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to even be big. But as long as you understand that, yes, we are dealing with a crisis, you will know that everything you do has to actually be eco-friendly. You can do it. It doesn't have to be big, because for every effort out there that you do, it's a plus for us. It's important. It's like building.
Yes.
You put one brick together, the other, and eventually you'll have a building done. So that is climate change. So I would say, as a woman and as women, we can do so much. I've met a couple of women that are also doing so much. In our project at Climate Skaters, we are recycling hair, synthetic hair.
Yes.
So we go to the landfill, pick this, go to different places and pick that kind of hair. But one thing I noticed at our landfill, out of the 1,500 something that I found some time back, the time I was there,
Yes.
the biggest number was actually women. So now this I found last year, I found 1,500. Then I went back this year and I found they had reduced, and I asked them, where did the rest go? Yeah, they got other jobs. So basically they were helping, and they are still helping to also curb down these emissions in a way, because they're the ones that pick plastics and take them for recycling and all that. So they have no idea actually what they're doing, because for them it's all about money. But I also noticed that they're doing it because they don't have a choice. But how can we make them love it?
Yes.
How can we make them actually understand that as you're doing this, you're also saving your planet? So they told me they had plans to relocate because the landfill is going to move. And so I wanted to know what their next moves are. Now, when you talk like to such people, because as I told you, last year, they were 1,500. And when I went there this year, they were about 700 or something. So where did the 800 go? They may have gone, but it could have been easy to like sit and talk to these women. Most of them were women, and given them a plan that is also eco-friendly.
Yes.
As in, if you go out there, if you're going to be doing this, make it eco-friendly. We can actually all do that, and we enjoy it. I mean, there are also so many opportunities within the climate spaces. Yeah.
Yes. So any challenges that you have experienced in this space personally?
Yeah, challenges. Yes, of course. Funding. It all comes to finance. There's so many things that I personally want to do. Oh my gosh, like a zillion.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm still limited by funding.
Yes.
And I feel this is the one thing that limits 1,000 other women out there.
Yes.
Yeah. Then also, I've been so lucky that I've not been stereotyped. I'm not really, people are receptive because because it's the confidence also. Women need to be more confident and know that even, I mean, you can do it, you can make it, whether you're a woman or man. So I think I've not had that,
Yes.
but also my fellow women are facing that.
Yes.
That gender bias.
Yes.
I feel it's not my challenge personally, because I know, and I attribute this to also education.
Yes.
Yeah. Because once you get this education, Education, like I keep saying, it's not just formal. It can also be informal. If you understand that even as a woman, I can do this. As a woman, I can do this. As a woman, I can bring about change. You can actually do it.
Yes.
Yeah, but my friends out there are getting such issues, gender biases, who are in the
Yes.
same spaces as
Yes.
I am, and it's really taking a toll on them. And maybe the other challenge I've had is, well, I don't have so many challenges. My challenge is financial.
Yeah. Yes. So
Yeah,
now,
I think
yes,
we can fix
yes,
that.
we
Yeah.
are seeing financial and
Mm.
also gender biases.
Mm.
And now for someone who is into this space and you're with the Council with Foreign Relations.
Mm.
So what do you think is the best strategy we can adopt to ensure that we mainstream gender discussions, like seriously mainstream gender discussions within the climate change discussions in Uganda? Because we are heading to COP29 later this year. We need to have some of those strategies we have incorporated to ensure that when we head into COP29, we have an equitable distribution of representation between men and women heading there to negotiate on behalf of our country, Uganda.
Yeah. Well, I can say, of course, we are heading to COP29, but I feel also the time is very short. Also, we have to always be realistic in our ambitions, because also change is not going to happen in one day or 2 days. I mean, we are just like 3 months, 4 months to COP.
Yes.
So you don't expect that something that was not started the other year is actually going to work right now. But this is something beyond even COP. Women in leadership. Honestly, women have to take on leadership positions. I've seen girls like, okay, let me not call her girl, ladies like the Vanessa Nakates, the Greta Thunbergs. These girls are literally taking on the world in climate change. So I feel women have to step up. Much as we want our government to come in and help us, much as we want to say men have to support us, but I think it all starts with us. It starts with you as an individual. So I feel if we as individuals woke up and said, you know what, but also we would need education. So I can't, for me, education is like really, really so important.
Yes.
If we had some good education on climate, because there are very many people who are even like educated, like very educated, but are not understanding climate change. The media, they do not understand climate change. I mean, I've been in places where people don't even want to cover climate, and I'm like, okay, why don't you cover climate stories? Like, oh no, they're going to break our legs. You know, there are so many mafias. So for them, they feel climate change is all about chasing away people from swamps, but they do not understand even the smallest thing of even Cavera that takes 1,000 years to decompose is a threat.
Yes.
So people need to understand that the price of matoke will go high, and they will give me very little matoke on my plate because of climate change. If we now started understanding that food security alone, if we started understanding that inflation and all that is coming from climate change, if we understood that right now there are millions of people who are climate refugees.
Yes.
If we understood that actually anytime, any day you can become a refugee, you can have your good life today, and something happens because of climate change and your good life is nowhere anymore. If we understood such things, it would actually be easy for us to be able to be a part of the solutions. But there's a problem in the understanding of climate change. And also these experts, of course they are experts, but also experts have to understand that they as experts cannot actually do this on their own. They need the indigenous people. They need everybody. So they need to bring this information down in the simplest way possible, because you're not going to just be talking about carbon what, carbon this. Some people will not understand. And yet if they literally understood, they will actually act. So I think we need to also be more we need to be more vigilant on the way we educate people, on the way we create awareness.
Yes.
And there we'll have more women to be a part of this, and we'll have more men as well.
Yes. Now, at the point of awareness that I picked out, yes, we really do struggle with understanding that climate change is not only a macro issue, like it's not only a big issue, but it affects every single day of our lives, like even to the littlest of the decisions that we take. We are going to be affected using Kavera. The farming is going to also affect food security, the constant rainfall. Now, and you run a skating initiative. So someone out there is interested in learning how they can join this initiative. Like young people want to join this initiative because one of the issues that you've shared with me, at least that has stood out for me, is that it's not all about skating for fun, but it also goes as far as integrating education in this space. Like people are not only skating, but they are also getting to be more aware about climate change. So someone out there would like to know how they can join the skating initiative and where it's found and how they can reach you. So you can share with them your social media handles and how they can reach you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Our skateboarding initiative, that is Climate Skaters Chitezi, is located in Chitezi, that is in Chadondo East. And we welcome everybody. Skating is not about age. We take on from 2-year-old to 50 or even 60, because at the end of the day, skating is not, we love professional skating, and trust me, next Olympics, I know we shall be there. We love professional skateboarding, but also we do skateboarding for fun. It is fun. Skateboarding is one thing that you will enjoy. So I would want to invite you to come and skate with us. Come, bring your children, come yourself, skate with us, skate with your children. We're located in Chitezi, in the center of Chitezi, and also you can follow us on Instagram, Chitezi Climate Skaters. Chitezi, Climate Skaters Chitezi. Follow us on Instagram. You can also email us at climatescatersuganda@gmail.com.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Now, a last call to action on how we can ensure that more women participate in this space of climate change. Like women, we are not given a seat at the table, but that one last call to action you can make, that if we are not given a seat at the table, let us create that seat at the table, or let us create our own table, like they usually say these days. Yes.
I think you've already said it. So you've just said that if we are not given a seat at the table, let's create a seat. I can't even add on. Indeed, if we are not given a seat, nobody's going to give you a seat. Trust me. The world is actually very, very fast. People are thinking about themselves, but also you can, if you're not given a seat, put yourself there. You have all it takes. Women, you are very strong. You are very much capable. If you can raise a family, you can raise a nation. You can do so much. So I call upon women and also men. Men, please encourage your women. Encourage your women to understand that we are in a crisis and they can do so much. If we came together, men and women, there is so much we can do. We could actually win this climate crisis. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for joining me. It has been a pleasure to have you today. Yes, and that brings us to the end of this exciting episode about how to integrate gender perspectives into the discussion of climate change. Please listen in, watch, subscribe, share your views. And for all those who want to know more, you can visit all our social media handles and on YouTube to learn more about how you can contribute to the discussion towards fighting climate change and at the same time preserving our environment. Thank you so much.